Hi, I'm Hollis Conway, two-time Olympic medalist in the high jump. I am the current American indoor record holder at 7 feet 10.5 inches. I'm also the indoor and outdoor collegiate record holder that I set back in 1989, one of the longest records being held. I've jumped almost 2 feet over my head. I think I'm third all-time height over head. I was #1 in the U.S. 7 years in a row. I was in the top 4 in the world 6 years in a row, and I was the #1 high jumper in the world 2 years in a row. I got 2 Olympic medals, a silver medal in Seoul, Korea in 1988, and a bronze medal in Barcelona, Spain in 1992. I'm in all kinds of halls of fame: USA Hall of Fame, Louisiana Hall of Fame, Louisiana High School Hall of Fame, my University of Louisiana Raging Cajuns Hall of Fame. I've had a lot of success as an athlete, and I think along with that success has come a lot of scars. I didn't start out being successful. I started out with a dream. I wanted to be an inside linebacker for the greatest football team in the history of football, the Pittsburgh Steelers. I wanted to be the next Mean Joe Green. Problem was I was 5'11", 99 pounds, and coach kind of cut me at tryouts, so I didn't get a chance. And I tried out for basketball, and I got cut, and I went out for track and field. Tried every event, and the only thing I made the team in was the high jump. First time I ever did the high jump, I jumped over the bar backwards. I missed the pit, and I hit the ground and knocked the wind out of myself. So I wasn't very good. As a freshman in high school, my best jump was 5 feet 5 inches, and the opening height at the varsity meet was 5 feet 6 inches. So I was just a JV jumper. But my sophomore year, I jumped 6 feet 6 inches and became one of the best jumpers in the area. And my junior year, I jumped 6 feet 10 inches and became one of the best jumpers in the state. And my senior year, I jumped 7 feet 2 inches and became one of the best jumpers in America. And from there on, there was no looking back. After jumping 7 feet 2 in the high jump, and I also jumped over 50 feet in the triple jump, I was one of very few jumpers who would jump 7 feet and 50 feet. I garnered a lot of attention across the country, and I began to be recruited by colleges all over America. And up to that point, I had not seen anything. I grew up in a very impoverished area, impoverished neighborhood. I didn't know anything. And now I have colleges from California, from Iowa, recruiting me, and I was just fascinated. And so there was a couple of things that stood out. There were 3 colleges that I chose to take a visit, but I think what's really interesting is the one I didn't take a visit to. I was recruited by the University of Iowa, and I did not take that visit because I had seen the movie Children of the Corn. I was not going to Iowa, but I actually I took 3 visits. I went to the University of Texas A&M, went to the University of Mississippi State, and the University of Southwestern Louisiana. After those 3 visits, there was 2 things I knew for sure. Number 1, you are not going to get me in Starkville, Mississippi. Number 2, I was absolutely going to be a Texas A&M Aggie. The #1 high jumper in America was a guy named Jimmy Howard. He was the current record holder. He went to Texas A&M. They had beautiful facilities. The coach says, "Hey, you can come here. You can be the next Jimmy Howard." And I was fascinated about it. But there was an old, smooth-talking coach, Dick Booth, who came out of the University of Arkansas, one of the greatest track programs there. He had plenty of Olympians and world-class athletes. He left there to become the head coach at the University of Southwestern Louisiana, and he talked me out of going to Texas A&M University and talked me into going to Lafayette, Louisiana. But he said something to me that I've never forgotten in my life. He said, "Don't go there and be the next Jimmy Howard. Come here and be the first Hollis Conway." And for the first time, it put value on my name and who I was and what I could accomplish. And my freshman year there, I jumped 7 feet 6 inches in the high jump, 53 feet in the triple jump, and 25 feet in the long jump. And from that point on, I was one of the best jumpers in America. I started qualifying for the United States Championships, and the next year, I qualified for the Olympic trials. And I had no idea what all of that meant, but I was just chasing being the best that I could be, and I ended up making the Olympic team. I finished second, and I had no idea what that meant. I took the lap around the track. I put the American flag on my back, and I was just so excited. And I went to Seoul, Korea, and it was the best time of my life. I enjoyed watching gymnastics, tennis, just every part of the Olympics, the opening ceremonies. And I went out there and had fun. And at the end of the competition, they literally gave me a silver medal. I did not know what that meant. It was the greatest feeling in the world. I came home to parades in my hometown, my high school. I was this new celebrity, and all I knew is that I wanted to get back there and I wanted to win. And so I chased it. And in between 1988 and 1992, I became the American record holder. I became #1 in the world. And when 1992 came around, I was the favorite to win the gold medal at the Barcelona Olympics. I went through the Olympic trials. I broke the Olympic record in New Orleans, and then, the Olympic trials record. And I went to Barcelona as the favorite, and I got third on the tiebreaker. And my heart just broke. All 5 of us jumped the exact same height, but I lost on misses. And so while I had a silver medal and a bronze medal, my heart was to go to Atlanta, be the first-time 3-time Olympic medalist, and win the gold medal. And in 1995, I had a complete rupture of my patella tendon, and I missed that whole year. And I came back in 1996, and I was in second place at the Olympic trials, where they take 3, and 3 guys had a personal best and knocked me off the team. And I left from Atlanta and I went to Paris, France, and I tore my Achilles tendon on that same leg. And I came back and I spent another year in rehab. And from that point, most of my career was physical therapy, rehab, training. And I jumped 7 feet 5.5 inches, better than most, but not good enough to make it to that Olympic level. But the lessons I learned in my life from physical therapy, from the therapists, from the athletic trainers, what they taught me, how to persevere, how to push, how to overcome obstacles, really set me up for the rest of my life. And so I'm forever grateful for my time with my injuries and the physical therapists that worked with me through that process. The maturation process, the maturity that I experienced between 1988 and 1992 was a lot of revelation, inspiration, awareness. 1988, I was just raw. I'd not seen anything. I went to the Olympics, had a great time. I got a silver medal. I didn't understand what it meant. But between 1988 and 1992, I understood the impact, what it meant on my life, what it meant for the people around me, what it meant for my family, the influence, and how I can make a difference, and the desire to win, the dedication to training, the understanding. At that point, I've seen many people who had Olympic dreams that failed, spent 4 years of training and didn't make it, and I understood that it takes strategy, planning, and a little bit of luck to get there. And so I took it a lot more serious. And so I knew what I was doing, why I was doing it, when I was doing it, and it really changed my whole outlook on life. I had a lot more respect for my craft. I had a lot more respect for my coaches, all of the surrounding people that helped me, from the physical therapists, athletic trainers, from the managers, the bus drivers. I understood the process, and I respected it, and I enjoyed it. So I approached it a lot more with a lot more professionalism, a lot more humility, and a lot more intention to make a greater difference, to understand that there are people who were coming behind me who had dreams and maybe didn't know the process, and people who gave up a little too easily, and people who were distracted by success and money and medals. And it was a great 4 years between 1988 and 1992. And of course, beyond 1992, as I began to move to the end of my career, I really learned a greater perspective that it really wasn't just about athletics, but it's about life and how you can continue to help people beyond the sports world to understand that life is a challenge and that you have to push through and you'll run into obstacles, and you need to run over those obstacles. You need to jump over those obstacles. You need to push through those obstacles. But you really need people in your corner that's going to help you when things are tough. And I often use the example of my physical therapist, what they said to me, how they encouraged me when things were hard, when I wanted to quit, when it looked like I was not going to get past a certain point, when I had a setback. All those lessons transferred to life skills that really shaped the rest of my life. You know, one of the things that I learned coming out of high school to college, it was a huge transition. You know, we basically operated on our talent in high school. Coaches were not that knowledgeable on events like high jump, triple jump, javelin, pole vault. They're highly specific events, and I had a great coach. But once I got to college, we really opened up to every aspect of what it takes to be successful. So it was not just the coaching, but it was a support system. And I learned the value of athletic training, physical therapy, ice baths afterwards, massage, deep tissue, different parts of stretching, understanding how the muscles work, especially when you're doing training, not to overload certain muscles where you're doing one exercise one day and you go in the weight room. A lot of that came from the special knowledge of athletic trainers and physical therapists. They became a part of my routine, and I realized that I was not going to be successful without them, because there were days where I had a really hard practice, and if I had not listened to my therapist or my trainer, I was not able to practice at the level I needed to, because, you know, I was sore, I was hurting, or I would pull something. And to be successful, it takes a lot of hard work over a long period of time. And you're going to have strains and pulls, and you know, I've had knee scopes, and I've had all kinds of things happen. You're not, for the most part, going to get that specialty training from your coaches. You're going to get that from the support staff, the athletic trainers, the physical therapists, and their facilities that they have. You need great facilities to come in, and they have the machines that can work on certain areas, and they have the tools. Back when I came up, they had this machine called, it was GVS. I don't know what the medical term was, but it was always GVS and ice. They were going to put some electric stem on you and put an ice pack. That became the norm. We didn't understand all what it was doing, but we know we liked the results of it. So early on in my college career, it just became a part of what I was doing. And of course, as I got older, I understood why they were doing what they were doing and what the importance of, and there was a little bit more intentionality to include it in everything that I was doing. So as I continue to compete and train at a high level, obviously I'm beating my body up. I'm doing tons of pounding with weight vests on, single leg stuff up hills, running stadiums, concrete stadiums, single leg hops, and you know, I start to have knee, ankle, back problems, and we started off with, you know, whirlpools, hot and cold. We started off with braces, and pretty soon, you know, you move into scopes and different things, and the level of service intensifies, the seriousness of the procedures and the amount of therapy that goes along with it. But I remember having some scopes, and you really just don't give a lot of respect to them. You're in and out, and really you're back in a couple of days. You're heating up it before, and you're cooling down after, and you're doing those things that become part of your routine, and you're listening to your therapist and the stretching. But then you have your first major tear. I had a complete rupture of my patella tendon on my left knee while I was jumping in Germany back in 1991. Wasn't a great time for the newest technology of service, and I had to have surgery immediately because my patella tendon ruptured right below my patella, and my quadricep muscle pulled my patella all the way up my thigh. And the fear was that if the quadriceps atrophy. They would never be able to get the patella back down in the spot, and it would really affect my ability to walk or run or jump again. And so we had to have it immediately. So a funny story, you know, the wall in Germany had recently come down, but there was still clearly a East Germany and a West Germany. And so we were all living on the east side because it was so much cheaper, and then we would come over to the west side and compete. So when I tore my knee up, they had no idea what to do. My patella is sitting up on my thigh. They spray it with some ice. They push it down, they wrap it, and we go to a hospital. And the doctor tells me, he says, "You just dislocated it. We're going to pop it back in place. You'll be out 3 or 4 weeks." And I'm like, cool. Obviously, I was a little dyslexic. I don't know. I was in another world. And I remember they gave me a shot of something to put me under, and I lost all consciousness. But I remember waking up and the doctor saying, "It's a little bit more serious. We're going to have to operate." And everybody that was with me saying, "No, no." And I said, "No, I want to go to Frankfurt." And so they literally rolled me in a room. I was still paralyzed, and I was deathly afraid because that the first time in my life I had no power. I couldn't make my toe move. I couldn't do anything, and really had a come to Jesus meeting with my life, saying, okay, what am I going to do with my life? What does this all mean? How am I going to get out of this? And the next day they drove me to Frankfurt, Germany. We went in, the doctor did an incredible job. He did the surgery, but he says, "You cannot go home until we can get your range to 33 degrees. And that's when my first experience was realizing how difficult it's going to be and how important it is to have somebody there that's going to help you. Because I was homesick, I was worried about my future, I didn't know what it looked like, and I'm in a strange place. There's nobody speaking English. It's during January. It's late January, early February. I'm by myself, and all I had was a physical therapist there. And he started bending my knee immediately. But even in a foreign language, his words of comfort, explaining to me where we're going, what we can do, and encouraging me really helped me move on with my life. And so eventually we got to 33 degrees, we got home, and I immediately got with a physical therapist in Louisiana, in Lafayette, Louisiana. And this guy, he would leave his job, come to my house, pick me up, bring me to therapy, do the therapy, leave his job, take me home, and then go back to work. That's incredible. He loved his job, he loved his clients, and he took time with me, and they did a wonderful job through every phase. Range of motion. I remember the first time they put me on the bicycle, and I was just supposed to pedal halfway up and halfway down, and you accidentally go past a point, and it goes all the way around, and the pain that's associated with that. Getting on the treadmill, doing just all the drills. Just the mental aspect of it was almost equally and greater than the physical aspect of what they've done and the value of that. And it really restored my dreams, my hopes and my dreams, the ability for me to pursue the next Olympics. Let me know that, hey, you can come back for this. And I held on to that hope and that inspiration. A lot of that came from my physical therapist. And I came back, and then next year in Madison Square Garden, I jumped the second highest jump of the year. I jumped 7 feet 6 inches after one of the worst injuries you could have on your jump leg as a high jumper. But, you know, it's, you know, you're looking at the injury happened January 1995. You have the Olympic trials June 1996. There's not a whole lot of time to rest. You have to push forward. And so I started having problems with my Achilles because I was being more aggressive, but I couldn't take the time off. And I got to the Olympic trials, and I was on the team until the last jump, and 3 guys have the greatest jump of their life. They knocked me off the team. I leave from Atlanta. I go to Paris, France, and I snapped my Achilles tendon on my jump leg. And I was just disheartened. I decided not to have surgery over in Paris. I flew home, I had surgery in America, and I was right back into physical therapy. They had a lot tougher job the second time, not with the rehab, but just with the mental aspect of it. But I think we need to recognize the importance of physical therapists for much more than what they do on the physical aspect, and understand what they do on the mental aspect. And of course, we went through the whole process. We came back and I jumped 7 feet 5.5 inches, one of the best jumps in the world, after 2 of the most devastating injuries you could have as a jumper, a patella tendon and Achilles tendon. With all of the scarring, with all of the loss of elasticity, I was able to jump one of the best jumps in the world. It wasn't enough to get me back on the national level, but it was enough to keep me trying to get to the national level. And I struggled there because my body was not the same. The injuries took a toll on me. But as I moved beyond athletics, the things that helped me the most was what I learned going through the process of my therapy. And the things that they said, all of those approaches, all of those ideas, all of the hope, the inspiration that they gave me helped me transition into what we would call real life, the working world, and understanding that life's gonna knock you down sometime. You have to push through it. There's a process, there's steps. You're gonna have setbacks. Don't give up, don't get frustrated. Keep doing the work. You gotta be tough, you gotta push through it, you gotta trust, you gotta have faith. You know, one of the biggest lessons I learned is that at some point you have to trust your knee. You're gonna have to jump and land on it to find out if it will work. And I literally seen probably 10 to 20 athletes come in with injuries that were not as serious as mine, who never recovered because they were afraid of what would happen if they did it again. But my therapist taught me, you gotta go out there and you gotta trust it. You gotta have faith, and if it doesn't work, we're here to help you through it. And so I'm forever grateful for my physical therapist for what they did in my life, and for not only preparing me up to my obstacles, but helping me work through those obstacles, but also giving me the tools that I need beyond those obstacles to kind of move on with life. Since my career has been over, you know, in my mind, I'm still that guy. I'm still that athlete. I'm still the Olympian. I still live in that world. So that part is never gone. But reality is I had to get a job. I have a wife. I have kids. They got to eat. They need clothes. But part of my life after that, I became a motivational speaker. My story is an incredible story. I've had incredible success, incredible obstacles to overcome. Those lessons that I've learned, a lot of them was given to me or inspired by my time with physical therapy. But I traveled across the United States speaking to schools, churches, corporate events. You can overcome these things. You can work through the process. Trust your therapist. Do those things. And so because my career was so long, I built relationships with a lot of therapists and trainers, and they're still my friends, and wherever they go, they bring me to those places. And so a lot of them are working high schools, a lot of them have their own clinics, a lot of them are working at hospitals, specialty places. It's just a part of my life because they get to influence people sometimes at their toughest times and help them navigate. And really what they do sometimes restores marriages, helps families get along, helps people get back to work to provide for their families. They touch a large part of society, and so I'm forever grateful. They'll always be a part of my life, and of course I have lifelong friendships, and wherever they are, a lot of their children now becoming therapists. It's been a special time, special relationship, and I've enjoyed being a part of it. In my mind is as sharp and delusional as it ever was, because I still believe that I could go out and win an Olympic medal. The thing that made me great is the thing that drives me crazy now, because that drive and that passion is still there. I'm wise enough to know that my body won't let me do those things, but I don't really have to be that wise. I feel it in the mornings. I have aches and pains, you know, medical things when you get older. You know, I don't know if I can say this on camera, but you got to pee a whole lot more often. Prostate ain't what it used to be. It's weird, but also I feel the effects of all those surgeries and those injuries, you know, sometimes I can tell you when the rain's coming before it get here because my knee is throbbing, or my Achilles because of all the scar tissue there and the range of motion that I have. I walk a little bit different, and sometimes my back will hurt because I'm favoring one side. And so I'm starting to feel the effects of getting older. But the relationships that I've had with all of my friends who are physical therapists, I often call them and I say, hey guys, man, I'm hurting right here. What do you think it is? And they'll give me some advice. They'll give me some drills to do. Sometimes they'll send me a little sheet of paper with some pictures that show me how to do some drills. And sometimes I can sneak in and get a little treatment, get a little bit of that old GVS and ice. They'll put a little stem machine on it. They'll put a little heat massage and work it out. Even more so than what they can do for me, they're my friends, and they're great friends to have because their knowledge and their skills, I can always depend on them. Even if it's something small, you know, my finger's hurting, they can say, hey, you know, it's not really your finger. You may have pulled something in your forearm. This is what you might need to do. And so as I'm getting older, I'm grateful for those relationships because it seems like every day something new pops up. I don't know how it happened, how it got there, but I'm comforted in knowing that I have somebody I can call that maybe give me a little bit better idea. And if I need to, they'll squeeze me in for an appointment. You know, I just want to encourage everyone out there, no matter what you're going through, no matter what the obstacle, no matter how devastating it looks, there's hope on the other side. You need to believe that you can overcome whatever it is, but you also need to surround yourself with the right people, the people who can help you get through it. I have plenty of friends who are medical doctors and therapists in their own mind, and they know what the answer is. That doesn't always work. You need to find a quality physical therapist that can help you, that can give you the accurate information and help you get through this. Because not only will they give you the physical tools you need to get through it, but they can really inspire you and motivate you mentally to get to the other side and really reshape your perspective. Because the one thing I really learned is that success might not be what I thought what success was. You know, I thought maybe going back to the Olympics and winning a gold medal was success. But real success is overcoming that injury and getting it back as close to normal as I can to be functional, to be there for my wife, to be there for my children, to be there to do my job. Real success is pushing through, because I don't feel like I got 100% back, but I was 100% better. And that happens because I had the right people in my life. So I want to encourage you, make sure you surround yourself with the right people that will give you the right information to get to where you need to be. There are so many options out there. Sometimes it's hard to find out what's the best place to go to. Obviously, there's some that are better than others. Some are better equipped. Some have physical therapists who are more knowledgeable or have more experience in different areas. I would encourage you, number one, do your research, but if there's somebody you trust, talk to them. Experience is the best knowledge, the best motivator, the best guide sometimes. I'm obviously here in Lexington, Kentucky. I have a very close friend of mine, Gus Hauser. He's part of PT Pros. There are a growing number of facilities across Kentucky. I'm sitting in an incredible facility. I've met some incredible therapists. I've watched them work. It's an incredible place. I would challenge you to research PT Pros. Go in. I'm pretty sure you'll be comfortable. You'll be inspired. You'll be welcomed. But they have the knowledge, the skill, and the facilities to get you to where you need to be. And I would also say this to you on the second part, is that even if you're not going through it and you know somebody else is going through it, be a friend, recommend. One of the things that helped me is that when I made the Olympics, I realized that we're family, whether they were doing table tennis, taekwondo, swimming. Once I made the Olympic team, I was a United States Olympian. And one of the great parts of being an Olympian is that things that other people knew that I didn't know became available to me. And so if I was hurting, there would be someone from another state in another sport doing something I'd never seen would say, hey, I know this great guy. You need to go visit him. that makes a difference. And so if you find that PT Pros is a wonderful facility that can meet all your needs, share the information. It's not really to promote PT Pros, but it's really to help people get the help they need so that we as a society can be better, because we're better when we perform better. And be a friend, help them out.